My little talk is on early life programming and its impact on health. And well, looking at this chart, you can see actually 6 months before conception to 6 years, there is a window opportunity for later life health, because during this period before conception, up to birth and up to 2 years, a lot of nutrients are being absorbed at this critical moment, and it will be important for the development of the kids, especially on neurodevelopment, cognitive, and others. But then the benefits of breastfeeding on short and long-term child growth and development is important. And during the period, a fast postnatal growth is associated, we know, as with increased abdominal fat mass, and high BMI at first year predicts a high BMI at 7 years, and length at 2 years of age predicts adult height. So there are a lot of things going on during early life programming, which is critical for body function and future health. Some most important things are on the blood vessels, on the adipose tissues, the beta cells of the pancreas, and also the kidney functions, and all this leads to the brain functions and also immunity. Well, as Professor Heckman has alluded to, there are sensitive periods in the brain development, and especially for, say, binocular visions and also auditory systems. In fact, they are highly developed at birth and for the first few months of life. Other things like language, emotional controls come a bit later. And during this period, especially from the third trimesters onwards until the early few months of life, we know that DHA and other nutrients are being deposited in the brain, especially on the hippocampus, which is the part in the midbrain which is very useful for memory functions. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends exclusive breastfeeding for at least 6 months and continuation of breastfeeding for 1 year or longer, as mutually desired by mother and infants. We all know that breast milk is the best treasure bestowed to the babies by the mothers. And I'm not going to talk on all those facts which everyone knows, which is good for babies and mothers. Well, this seems to be a very complex diagram, but suffice to say, the breastfeed baby, well, there are a lot of things that the baby can benefit from breast milk, including all the systems. One thing we learned about the difference between human milk and the cow's milk is that, now you can see the percentage of protein in human milk is only 1%, and cow's milk is 3.5%. But that in the human milk, a lot of these proteins are functional proteins that would be good. In fact, there are more than 40 different types of protein which has functions that improve the health of this infant baby. Whereas for the bovine milk, most of them are nutritive protein, that is, they are good as a building block for protein, but as functional protein, the percentage-wise is much less. So early life programming and health. We've been talking about the benefits of lowering protein to prevent obesity, as studies have shown, but we should not forget about the impacts on fatty acids on health as well. Fatty acids and brain developments, the children who are breastfed, we know have higher IQs than children not fed breast milk. And breastfeeding is thought to influence influence brain development through nutritional processes involving fatty acids. And the predominant long-chain polysaturated fatty acids, what we call the LC pufers, present in human's milk, but not in cow's milk or most infant formulas, and they are the DHA and the AA and the ARA. The DHA and AA accumulates in the human brain during the first postnatal months, and infants who are breastfed have high concentration of DHA and AA than infants fed unsupplemented formulas. Well, that is why now most of the infant formulas, well, they have been supplemented with DHA. And evidence shows that the LC pulvers in breast milk may enhance the cognitive function. As I have just said, the DHA and some other nutrients like the choline and maybe lutein, they deposit at the hippocampus, and this is good for long-term and short-term memories. Well, this shows that obesity can start early in life, especially during the first few years, and sometimes the first 6 months would be very important. Even a few weeks on high calories, the adipose tissues will develop, and then it would cause obesity in the early pre-adolescence years, and then they go on to adult life. And this will cause problems related to obesity like diabetes mellitus, hypertension, or even malignancies. Now, what have the diet changes in the past, say, a few thousand years? Well, we can see that the N3 is kept quite constant, but during this period, from the Agricultural Society data, up till the 1800s, 1900s, you can see the N6 part and the saturated fat and the total fat increase. And during this past 100 years, a lot of obesities and related problems related to obesity have developed. So the LA and the linoleic acids contained in mature breast milk also increases in the past 50 years, but then the N3 is kept at a low level. And children's fed human milk, which is high in N3 unsaturated fatty acid, had blood pressures which is lower at the age of 12 years. So the red line, this part, is our babies who are fed the N3 pulver level less than the median, whereas the blue block they are fed with N3 pulver at more than the median. So you can see at 12 years, the systolic and diastolic pressures have a very significant drop. And also the postnatal dietary N3 long-chain fatty acids prevents the adult adiposities following a Western-style diet challenge. Well, you can see the body weight and also the length, they are similar. But then the fat content, the fat mass percentage is increased. And also a reduction in the postnatal dietary N6 pulver also reduces the adult adiposities. So genetics and fatty acids are really also important. And the genetic variants within the fatty acid desaturase clusters are determinants of long-chain polyunsaturated fatty acids level in the circulation cells and tissues. And new data have become available to show that the fast single nucleotide polymorphism, the SNPs, also modulates the DHA axis status in pregnancy, as well as the LC puffer level in children and in human milk. And there are indications that the fast SNPs modulate the risk of allergic disorders and eczemas, and the effect of breastfeeding on later cognitive development. So the blood levels of puffers and LC puffers are influenced not only by diet, but to a large extent by the genetic variants. Well, this is a complicated slide, but what I want to show is that the epigenetics in the infant growth and nutrition, that is the epigenetic effect of human milk components on the child health outcomes in terms of a lot of components like the lactoferrins, the prostaglandin-3 or whatever, they have been shown to prevent occurrence of disease like the NEC, the others like liver disease, and this is by either reducing the expression of the genes or increase the expression of the genes. So we know a lot of these things, as Professor Heckmans alluded to, is related to epigenetics rather than to just the genetic makeup of the kids. And genetic regulations of imprinted genes is regarded as a highly possible explanation for linking dietary exposure in early life with the onset of disease during childhood and adulthood. A number of nutritional challenges can induce transgenerational, non-genomically determined phenotype changes in humans. So in short, this epigenetic change can pass on to generation, change the functions and the appearance of the human beings as mammals. And breast milk, by modulating the gene expression without changing the nucleotide sequence of the DNA, might positively modify the phenotype and the outcome, even if there is a genetic predisposition for the development of disease. So I have a short video clip from Nature to show how this epigenetics works.
The environment too can affect the epigenome. Factors like what you eat, or if you smoke, or how much you exercise, can also influence the cell through epigenomic changes. Some diseases are linked with epigenomic changes too. Take cancer, for example, where cells replicate out of control. Here, scientists see rogue epigenomic changes. These changes are linked to genes behaving weirdly, genes being expressed that shouldn't be expressed, or genes shut off that usually keep cells in check. There are changes to the epigenome in other disorders too. Take Alzheimer's. One new study shows that even early in the condition, there can be changes to methylation in brain cells. It's still an open question whether these changes can trigger the disease. But if they do, that means that drugs that target the epigenome could one day slow the progression of Alzheimer's, or even help prevent it. Finally, cells can inherit not just the DNA, the sheet music, but the epigenomic changes too. They pass these on to the next generation of cells. Just like a Beethoven symphony, a cell's epigenome is complex and exquisitely arranged. Scientists are starting to understand how that arrangement changes in different cell types during development and in disease.
So in conclusion, early life programming is critical for body functions and long-term health. Understanding in epigenetics may allow us to personalize nutritional practices according to the genetic variations and promote better health. Thank you.